born down in the handle. I was brought up by the strap. Where the devil starts to show up in your dreams, then it's hard to get your dreams back. And if I lost my sense of wonder, you can blame it on the banks. 'Cause the scammers and the skimmers, they swim around together, and every dealer has a fish tank. The numbers never lie, but they also never tell the whole truth. Tiana's in the passenger side with the Buffalo Blues. She said the guys that you'll be meeting with won't be easily impressed. And if your whole thing's where you're coming from, they'll wonder why you left. Used to play first-person shooters. I spent days inside the game. The speed made my head like a cockpit computer until the wings came off the plane. I was deep in debt and desperate. I met some Hatcher and his henchmen. I put on my only suit and I walked up to the interview. I applied for the position. And when the whole thing finally happened, they flew me out to Buffalo, New York. The terms are much different than what we'd first discussed, but I was grateful for the work. Tiana was the girl that used to ride around and wait in the car. The gig was pretty good, they just always need to know where you are. Well, they gifted me a CRV and a decent place to live, a pistol and a nickname. I'm the Amarillo Kid. Dispatch and deliver. It's tough to drive in winter weather. 30 minutes and the next one is free. Still feels like forever. Tiana, now I know that you were only there to watch me work. I didn't see staying on just to maintain the way that we were. Well, the ashtray is the bathtub. There's a stovetop kitchenette. The wallpaper is jaundiced, but it's still a step ahead. Didn't think they'd have the wherewithal to hunt me down out west. I sold half of it in Wichita, and I'm wrapping up the rest. So darling, sit down on the bed, maybe have another hit, and listen to the legends of the Amarillo Kid. Listen to the legends. Listen to the legends. Listen to the legends of the Amarillo Kid. The cops are pretty skeptical. For what I've seen, that's what you get. They said they're busy with the carnival, but agreed to do a wellness check. Called and said that you're okay. They sounded almost entertained. They said you got some funny friends, and it's always someone's birthday in your building. Anthony, I'm sure you know these things, they can be passed down through the family. It's nice to know there's someone in this world who's always known me. It's nice to know there's someone in this world who's always known me. The fish tank, it was always meant to be a temporary home. The boundaries, they were well defined. The climate, it was in control. And that year you spent all shot between Mania and Doubletown. Anthony, I'm sure you know these things, they can be passed down through the family. It's nice to know there's someone in this world who's always known me. It's nice to know there's someone in this world who's always known me. Now that both the folks have passed, it's hard to feel real tied to much. The bandages and the broken glass, the weak attempts to keep in touch. And I heard you had some funny friends, and it's always someone's birthday in your building. Parties at your parents' house when everything was neat and sweet and normal. Anthony, it's hard to think about the sharks that must be swimming in your circle. Anthony, it's nice to know there's someone in this world who's always known me. Who's always known me. Passed down through the family. 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 Woke up in a bed to a text from a friend that said you better come quick. There's been an accident, a crash. They closed off the entrance ramp, hard to really say what might happen. They got out of bed and got dressed and I gave her a kiss. Careful so that she didn't wake. Left her some cash just in case. Started the car and I drove to the mini mart. Put some gas in the tank. Paid with a card so I wouldn't even have to say thanks. I was born a town over, 'cause that's where the hospital was when I was due to arrive. And now it's St. Mary's at the far end of the county, about a 25-minute drive. A mother, a father, a brother, a sister, weddings, graduations, and mass. My sister's a teacher, she moved to Ohio. My brother always drove pretty fast. A niece and two nephews, dressed up for Christmas, suspended where the picture was hung. I got one of my own and 14 years old from when her mother and I were too young. I got one of my own, and she's 14 years old from when her mother and I were too young. Sat in my car and I listened to music, sang along under my breath. It's hard to really know what might happen in the moments that trail sudden death. Drove to the service road, drove to the service road, put my foot on the gas. My sister's a teacher in Dayton, Ohio. My brother always drove pretty fast. Tell my daughter I love her, tell her mother I'm sorry, tell them both that they're here in my heart. It's so hard to know the right time to show up, but you'll know when you're due to depart. It's so hard to know the right time to show up, but you'll know when you're due to depart.
Hi, I'm Ayisha Jaffer, the evening host here on The Current, and I'm here with Craig Finn.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining me. So you're on the road now in the States, and then you're going to Europe. How does it all feel? Just how does that feel?
It feels great to be out here. And this is the first day, the first show with the Uptown Controllers since I've had this record out. So that feels like a monumental day. We've been doing Hold Steady gigs throughout the year. But after staying home for quite a bit, it feels like each one, you don't take them for granted, that's for sure.
Yeah, there's like a new appreciation, I feel like, for doing things, which you kind of touch on in your album, because Legacy of Rentals, this is your 5th studio album as a solo record. I know you've done tons of albums, but the 5th of your solo, and Legacy of Rentals, the concept of it, it's so fascinating. I like something you said about it where, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but about your soul's kind of in your bodies for this temporary time. Can you expand on what that means?
I mean, A Legacy of Rentals was kind of a funny title to me. It made me laugh a little bit because, for one, I do rent my apartment, and during the pandemic, a lot of my friends started buying things, and I was like, well, I guess I'm just a renter forever. But then expanding on it, that we kind of, our soul, our bodies are kind of rentals for our souls, our bodies are temporary, our souls hopefully are forever. So it was kind of expanding on the rental theme all the way, and knowing that we might not always be here, and a lot of the songs are about that, are memorials, and deal with how we remember people and places that are no longer with us.
Well, and that idea I find so fascinating. It almost seems like a realization. And so I was wondering, what is the catalyst of kind of talking about and addressing that idea of how you remember a person or a place or even these major events in life?
Yeah, this record was started, my partner, Angie, is a nurse, and when COVID started to happen, she started working directly with COVID patients at her hospital, and I had to move out. And I moved in with her sister and her sister's family. And I said, well, I better get to work. I'm going to start writing. And I started writing a lot. And one of the things I was writing about was remembering this, momentous time in history that it seemed to be unfolding. And also, right at the top of the pandemic, I lost a friend, and suddenly, and it was not necessarily COVID related, but because of the pandemic, we weren't allowed or we weren't able to have a memorial service. Oh. And so, or at least not for a while. And so I was kind of thinking, how do, there's this, with this lack of closure, how do we remember people? How do these stories get passed down? I had a million great stories about my friend Brian. How do we keep telling them? How do we keep his memory alive? And I think that directly and indirectly led to the songs that ended up on this record.
Well, and then I was going to say, I know that you are a storyteller and you create these characters, you have these characters, these ongoing characters in the songs. But to me, and you could tell me if I'm wrong again, because this is me just interpreting, but I felt like this album was a little more personal. Like usually there's like a space between, but I felt it was a little closer in this one.
Well, John Gregory Dunn, I think, was the one that said the first character in any novel is the author. And I do think, especially in the solo stuff, I'm able to be more vulnerable and probably more personal. My the Hold Steady is such a the sound is so big, and I'm usually writing music to things that the other guys in the band give me, and they tend to be big stories, big people getting shot, people falling off the roof, and with this stuff it's a little smaller, both in sound but also in scale of the story. So I think people can be doing a little more mundane things and maybe things that more resemble my actual personal life.
Right. And then you also sometimes you did the stylistic thing, which I know you've done in the past, but I felt like it was more in this record where you're singing and you're speaking.
Yeah.
And as a storyteller, that kind of mends a couple of ideas and worlds, I guess, together. So what was that a conscious choice, and did that just kind of come naturally?
Well, yeah, I mean it comes naturally, but a couple records ago I did a song called God in Chicago that was kind of just a real spoken piece, and the producer I was trying to turn it into a real song, or more of a singing song, and the producer said no, just talk this one, and it was really effective, and we both really loved it, and I think people really reacted to it. And with this one, I really wanted to lean into that kind of storytelling. And I thought I kind of got interested in that part where you're just at the edge of talking or singing. And because when you can talk, and then sing, it kind of takes off. Like the wheels of the plane are just getting off the runway. And there's a beautiful moment there that I was kind of trying to play with. And also, we did sort of a new instrumentation on this record and brought in a 14-piece string section. So I thought with like kind of the straight talking, but with the grandiose strings, there's kind of this opportunity to kind of a gone with the wind, real cinematic moment,
Yeah, and a lot of these songs are just so visual. Like Birthdays is the one that we're playing now, and I even though that's not straight talking singing, I feel like you still push that edge with that song.
Yeah.
And I feel like that is just a relatable song. You have this family member, you're maybe like the glue has become elastic because you've missed, the parents passing or those gatherings aren't happening. And that's something I feel like everyone can kind of attune to. And I'm just kind of curious, like in your specific ideation of it, like what inspired that?
Well, I think I was thinking a lot about, when I'm talking about memory and memorial, but family seems to be another part of that. It's how we pass things down. There's family lore, there's, family traditions and whatnot. And I was thinking about a family that maybe had gone less than nuclear or whatever. I don't know what you'd say, but had become a little frayed.
Yeah.
And how, I'm really interested in this, like our modern technology of like Facebook or whatever, reaching out to people. I think there's a lot of ideas and stories of, hey, remember me, like we haven't talked in 12 years, but I'm here. And I've written a lot of songs in the past, say 5-6 years that sort of start that about a kind of a long distance reach out, both long distance in miles, but also maybe in years.
I've had a few of those. Have you had a few of
those?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like you start touring around and people pop up. Yeah.
Oh, that's my cousin.
Yeah, right.
I actually, just as a side, like I got citizenship in Luxembourg because I found a lost cousin. So sometimes it can benefit you.
Yeah, my brother-in-law just did that in Austria. So
wow. Oh, my goodness. Well, so another thing, I wanted to talk about your first track as well, because you mentioned that it's kind of like a eulogy. And I think that's so interesting when you're talking about memories and remembrance and this time. It makes more sense when you put it into context. But obviously that's a conscious choice to choose a eulogy, but instead of a summary, it's a eulogy. And so I'm just kind of curious, like, eulogy is kind of in a dark, a dark perspective. So well, yeah, what is meant by that?
Someone has to die to make a eulogy, right?
Right, yeah.
So, but that is like one of those very talky tracks that we were talking about, where it's very much a spoken thing. And I guess I was really inspired that the idea of a memorial and that everyone we all have original sin, we all have faults, etc. But when we pass, like everyone tries to bring up the best parts about us, and I wanted to write a story about someone who was probably a flawed character, but it ends up with him saying, Rachel did her best with the deal she'd been dealt, and that's what I got for a eulogy. And I don't know, I felt it was a very beautiful sentiment, and I was really attracted to it. And it's probably my favorite song on the record still.
I really enjoy that one. I feel like it's very strong, and it is like the summary and the eulogy all in one. And there's one line that I'm going to be a little silly with you that I love, so I'm going to read it. Is we map where we've been by the scars on our skin. And I love that because when you meet people, sometimes you're like, where'd you get that? Where'd you get that? When'd you get that? So I'm going to ask you, do you have a scar that is on your map that you're willing to share?
Well, this one I burned. I can't remember that. Like, there's a little burn there. What else? I don't know if I have any like really great scars. Maybe I haven't been careless enough in my life.
I'm like impressed. I've got this really big one right here. That's an
that's a
Alaska
good one. Okay.
I know you're going to Alaska, but don't worry. That was a very unique concept. I like to tell kids that it was bears. So there was this other thing. As I was like listening to your record, I noticed that you use the term like the fish tank. The fish tank comes up, but it comes up in different contexts. Like it's not like you're only trapped in the fish tank. It's also like there's other ways of interpreting that. But I imagine that's reflected into maybe what you were going through at the time.
Yeah, I mean, I think the fish tank was sort of the idea of limited space, and like having a past that you couldn't kind of get away from. Like you keep swimming in this tank and you keep running. It's an enclosed space, so you think you're in the ocean, but you just keep moving around. And I was thinking about that, about sort of relationships we never escape, friendships that don't ever kind of resolve or go away. And that idea, again, sort of connected to memory and connected to our lives, that things that we bring with us. And so the fish tank, I started playing with that, and it kept coming up, and I kept saying, oh, I like it there too. So I think there's 4 different mentions of fish tanks in the record, and one came up very naturally. It's talks about an actual fish tank, and then I started using it metaphorically.
Yeah, I noticed that because I don't know, I draw to the aquatic, and I also felt like fish tank, and you think fish bowl, you're stuck in this thing, but I took it to a next level. And I like those hidden things, even if it's not meant to be hidden, but like within art. So it added to the whole experience.
Well, it's definitely one of those things that you hope people notice,
Yes.
I'm
so glad.
Thanks.
Well, I wanted to also ask, I know you are from here, and I might screw this name up, Edina?
That's right.
Yes.
Welcome to Minneapolis.
From Edina. And so, being from here, but also now living in New York, like I always like to ask the question from artists who are from here, because this is, so many great artists have come out of here. Of course, Prince, Lizzo, you, do you think there's something about here, the scene here, that kind of fosters and supports talent that is different from other places?
Yeah, I do. And I haven't been here for 22 years, almost 22 years. So I think it's the same, but I would say that when I was here, I felt like as a scene, more people went to shows in Minneapolis than in anywhere else that I've gone that is, the same size, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's a couple reasons that. And I think one thing that really helps it is the institutions. I mean, First Avenue is 50 years old. The Current's been here for a long time now. It's a lot of other scenes, I feel like, they have a club that's going for 3 years, then it closes, then they have nothing, and then they have something else that happens for a few years. But they don't have this kind of like structure that I think has really helped Minneapolis music scene. And I just somehow culturally, even by the time I was in high school, I felt like people had really, it had that reputation, and people were proud of it.
Yeah, that's a community too,
Yeah.
right? I'm learning that as I go, and I like hearing from people who have been a part of it, Well, I've got 2 fun questions for you.
All right.
One, I need to know, because I am a dog lover. Your namesake pup, Rosalita.
Yeah.
How is she doing?
She's so cute. I got her 5 years ago, so I think she's turning, Well, she's going to be 12
Wow.
just next week. So that's a big one. I mean, roughly 12, I think, because she's a rescue. But she's doing good. Summer's not her favorite time of year.
Right.
The heat and also 4th of July is definitely not her favorite holiday. So
No
the
doubt.
fireworks start right about now. So she's probably going to have not her favorite month, but we'll make it up to her with treats and good pets and stuff.
She lives up to her Bruce Springsteen namesake.
She absolutely. She is. The she can jump a little higher. She can. Papa says she knows that I don't have any money. That's true too.
Fair. The other thing I wanted to ask you. So I heard that you try to write something every day and you read most days. And so that just fosters my idea that, of course, everybody has many layers of inspiration and creativity. Do you have another talent, another hidden talent, or one that you'd want to share?
Ooh, anything that I'm particularly good at. I don't really have a hidden talent. I think I read a lot, but I will say that I used to say that I was proud to say I've never had a cavity, but then I had one just kind of recently. So
I have 12. So.
yeah, I mean, I'm almost 51 years old, so I thought that was a pretty good thing.
Look, one is a huge achievement. So
one's not bad. Well, I got a dentist in a few weeks, so fingers crossed.
Fair enough. Well, is there anything else you'd want our listeners to know before I let you go?
No, just thanks so much for having me.
Thank you for being here. Craig Finn here with his fifth solo studio album, Legacy of Rentals, on The Current.